Hey, it's Taco Tuesday. So I'm going to be discussing another topic. I've been making videos quite frequently because I'm going through a period of abstinence from more than two things, more than three things. And I'm not perfect, right? But I do see myself as an angel in training. And so I'm telling you that I'm a lot different than Muslims, than Afghan immigrants, and white people. And I was born part Afghani, part East Indian, part white, i.e. Welsh, possibly French through the Lewis bloodline, Austrian certainly from the Nagel, NAGL bloodline. And I've always suspected there's some blue blood energy there just looking at the grandparents, at their features. You know, they look like former presidents. They have that look. And they had a certain amount of extreme financial success from that look. And then all that money got devoured by their greedy, spoiled, satanic children. And who knows where my grandparents are now. If they're but I'd be curious what happened with my mother's childhood that got her to have sex with a foreigner and then to dump the foreigner and then to dump her kid. But that's another story. But that's what happened. And so I was born to a white woman in a white family, and I'm going to write my life story. I really would love it if one day a woman or somebody liked me and wanted to know about me and not my content. Like, it's my biggest fantasy to meet a woman who's actually into my written content, not my video content, and my life story. Living with a woman who's not my heritage troubles me at times because she refuses to say that those people's lives matter, and she thinks it's a bad thing to request. And I don't. I think that your life, are you white? White lives matter. Are you Latino? Latino lives matter. Are you black? Black lives matter. I don't think that that's a bad thing to say that when you're feeling threatened and you're feeling hated. I think it's a good thing. So when you're hated by your race, I can't do my life story other than to say that I grew up with the white family, and then they split up, okay, in the 90s and moved off the farm, and then I had to live with my mom in an apartment. Then I was forced to live with my dad and his family, okay? So I would not describe them as religious at all. I would describe them as money hungry, as sinners, and not terrorists or anything, but selfish people, selfish, self-centered people, okay? I don't think they rape their children or sexually molest, but I think they're just greedy, selfish, football worshiping people that just go to, certain religious ceremonies to keep up appearances. But 9/11 was an event that obviously changed my life more than yours because I was in drug treatment for heroin. And why was I doing heroin in 2001? Child abuse and neglect. And it was just seen by my parents as like some default of mine for doing that. It had nothing to do in their mind with how I was raised and how I was abandoned and abused. And so I do believe that my parents are possessed by Satan. Absolutely. I know it now having talked to them a few times, and my mother having visited me in 2022 when I was at an incredibly weak period, which is the only reason she wanted to talk to me or see me and infiltrate my energy. And so many borderline harassing phone calls. And just hearing the voice of the woman who threw you away and damaged you, not even address what she did, is so nightmarish that these people, these racists that are in our family, that are in our society, these Nazi racists that are on our planet, they don't take accountability for their hatred. Okay, so basically I want to make a video while I was eating to keep the energy going, and it's this. I don't think it's the right moment for the life story, but I feel like you need that. It's in the life story that you get the answers to the headline, but I need to be more generic. Basically, when you're hated by your own race, it can threaten your health, your life, and your information. So we'll talk about that. My health is damaged, my mental health, my physical health, and my spiritual health, because I know that I'm resented by white people for discussing Afghan Lives Matter, the truth about September 11th, and that September 11th is a national holiday where people celebrate genocide, basically, and they don't investigate the truth of that day. And 9/11 truthers, right, are weak folks that never got involved in caring about Afghans, but just got into conspiracy theories. And then when the conspiracy theory movement was done with 9/11 truth, they were thus done with me. Now, Afghans and Indians, they're a different animal. No pun intended. My last name is the lowest caste that exists in India. And so I've always suspected that Hindu extremists behind the scenes at YouTube contributed to my downfall by promoting slander about me, saying that I was a criminal on the run. And this action contributed to me becoming homeless and moving in with a woman who's not my racial heritage, who doesn't believe that my life matters. Does that make sense? And so I feel that my life is being threatened by your satanic world that is more of a construct of you 8 billion people. You 8 billion people versus me. Okay? You're not my friends. You're not trying to help me. You're not trying to help me find housing. You're not trying to help me improve my life. You're just sitting there receiving this brilliance, but nothing's coming back. And so you need to know what it's like to be hated by your own race. You don't know anybody who's half that. That doesn't exist. And you've never shown a healthy, society has never shown a healthy curiosity. Oh, so you're part this, and you're, oh, well, we're woke now, and we're against racism. Let's talk to you. Oh, no. No, they only want to say Latino Lives Matter and Latina History Month and the White Lives Matter, White History Month. We've had that our whole lives. Black History Month. And so what I'm communicating to you is you have to be a very spiritual person on this channel to even have like one iota of empathy for me, basically, to take this shit seriously. Okay, my information is threatened because I'm suffering, because my health is suffering, my information is suffering. If I had a girlfriend who, like me, said my life matters, okay, or if I had, like, you know, that, I feel bad for even asking a certain person to edit my book or future book. She's not needed for that. I just wanted her love. I'm not going to feel guilty for being born a human, for knowing through psychic abilities when I'm around a female who has good genetics. Good genetics, good intelligence, good energy, a good heart. I'm not crazy. I'm psychic as fuck. But does she believe that my life matters? Or can she come to believe that my life matters later? We don't know. But when you end up relocating to regions of the earth like I did, where your heritage doesn't exist there at all, it is constantly a threat to your mental health because you know you're not wanted there, and you know that you don't have a future there, and you know that you could die there at any moment. This is a region where people like me are murdered by black thugs all the time. Usually they're working at grocery stores, and oftentimes their names are Saeed. What do you think my middle name is? To live in a world where people like me, that look like me, are sacrificed every hour of every day, it's troubling on the soul. I remember reading articles and seeing lots of dislikes because my audience didn't care. How I read about Muslims that were assassinated here in the city while standing on their balcony. So you have the most evil Muslims, in my opinion, Indians and others that live here, that don't care about their own kind being murdered, being whacked. Whatever's going on here with this biological simulation is absolutely terrifying. There's no love in it. And that's why I scream. That's why I yell. I would hope that Sufi Realities would understand me. Not that he's watching me. Your life's threatened when your own race hates you. When you end up in areas where you're getting killed, where you end up without equity. So I used to have equity, right? Used to have prosperity, used to have land. And because of harassment that I dealt with, and just a bad vibe about that region and other things, I moved in with someone that wasn't my heritage because she edited my first book and liked me then when I had a heavy amount of marijuana, i.e. I was very relaxed. I was a very different person. I'm still the same person, but I'm not relaxed. Okay. That which I need does not exist here. Makes sense? So, we are living in a hellish world where people in the 50 states, they're not empathetic to the nightmare that I'm living in here. They're living up in Colorado, they're living up in Sacramento, LA, San Diego, New York, living up in Portland, and they look at me, my own people, my dad's relatives. Why would you be there? Wow, you're dumb. You should go back there. They think, or something, these Afghan retards of America, that I have options. Wow. See, the whole time I was thinking it was just my race or something, which is why they hated me. It's my spirit in the end. Sure, on the surface level, it's going to be racism. Oh, you're part Afghani, part white, part Indian, or you're the ultimate inward of inwards. N-word boy, little N-word boy, N-word boy, little N-word boy. And so, you understand, I don't hate black people, I hate racism. But the word N-word, I feel like an N-word to you, subject X, to your world. Your world has raped my brain. It hasn't raped my anus, it raped my brain through constant beratement and rejection of my own race and species. That has led me to come to this place, this hellhole on earth, where every day I wonder if I'm gonna snap and off myself one day in the future. Don't confuse that for being suicidal. I'm not. But I feel the devil knocking, basically, being that I'm living in the devil's kingdom. And so when I quit the marijuana and I quit the alcohol or I quit certain things, like my head gets filled up with these apocalyptic visions of basically little pretty white girls getting stomped into the ground by crazy black people and others. But basically things that are happening now, things that are going to be happening in the future, things that God unfortunately is allowing to happen because of the corruption of souls that he sent here through the fornication process. And so it's through that fornication process, i.e. sex and having babies, that, i.e. the opposite of safe sex, that souls are introduced to this hell that we're sent here. Well, the truth is you were sent here and I was sent here. And I have asked my mother many times to tell me what my white heritage is in full detail, and she won't. I've asked my father to explain things to me about his service in the military, been going overseas and working with the troops and being a translator, and he won't. Why? Because he likely witnessed either murder, rape, or interrogation of innocent people that were forced to give false confessions. So I believe that high schools today are evil and destroy women. The fact that they don't teach at these high schools the history of Western imperialism and the truth about it, and the fact that at the local library there are individuals in place to make sure that my voice will not be heard by this community. Okay, so being that I communicated to you that I'm, at least half white, but I really see the whole thing. The whole thing is technically white. Afghan is white too. The thing is this: I don't look white enough to these people. Sometimes I do. The fact is, I'm an outsider in a region that's being taken over by crime, human trafficking, where even people don't even trust their own race. We have black on black violence, cops getting shot. You have stories in the news of black people that shot people that have been described by their parents as very together before they went nuts and lost their job, or before they lost their job and went nuts. And that's what happened to one guy. He was spiritual, so they said, anti-government, talking about aliens. One day lost his job, murdered a bunch of people. And so when you live in a region where you're dating women that are not from where you're from, not from your school, not of your heritage, maybe part of their heritage, they're going to be very locked and loaded into the animalism of the region. And if you're different than them, ethnically, spiritually, you can come off as a threat. The sense that I got from grocery store girl was just that, fear. And I told you in a recent video, what was it that caused her to fear me? Discussing sexuality. All right, let's move on. What I can tell you is this: I am noticing, and it could be because I'm thinking positive thoughts about them, but not all the time. But I see how they need more out of the community. And we're talking about men, specifically Hispanic or Latino men. They need me to be their coach, to be their mentor. I should just be thinking about their hot sister. These men need a coach. They need a teacher. They need knowledge, and that's what I am. But I don't necessarily look the part, and I come loaded with issues and trauma that's going to scare away the little girls in the audience. If I have any weight with God, I want her drawn to me, and I want her to message me on LinkedIn and tell me that she's listening one day, if she's not going to do it through another method. But the fact of the matter is, it's my desire for a companion that I see as a solution to this lifetime of trauma. I see a companion now as the only solution to save my soul from the evil that wants it.